Welcome, guys, to another exciting episode of Zebraman. We are here at VETS to speak to our brother lecturer Sonwabile Kumkani Bongela, who's a lecturer here at VETS. My brother, welcome, and thank you so much again for inviting us to come and speak to you.
Yeah, thank you for having me again on these very important talks about current affairs, but mostly about matters of intersecting ideologies and identities within the framework of African spirituality. Currently, we are faced with the manipulative stance that were at first in the
Yes.
in the earlier 20th century were a project by the CIA to
Yes.
ingest Western medicines through certain hedge funds, or what we call for hedge funds today, but
Yes.
those were front and dummy companies that were merely there to stall the intellectual development of an African child. So now they're coming back with a claim that they will be able to moderate the escalation in terms of population numbers in Africa by ensuring that African women are prevented from being pregnant for about 8 years. And I'm wondering why Africa, because Africa has a billion people so far, unlike India and China, as single countries that are smaller than Africa, even combined, have had over a billion people for the longest time.
Yes.
So this is particularly interesting because it means that the likes of Bill Gates are looking out for economic opportunities, for instance, if they're targeting the DRC and claiming that they are aiding the healthcare system, the socio-economic system. It means that they are looking into, dipping their fingers into the economic, parts of the DRC. So the cobalt that is found in the DRC, the natural gas that is found in the DRC,
Yes.
seemingly is for Westerners, it's not for Africans. So whatever conflict, whatever war, whatever chaos that is seen currently, for instance, we haven't recovered from the conflict in Eastern DRC, which included a turmoil between South Africa and Rwanda.
Yes.
We haven't recovered from that, but we know the key players. It's not some hypothesis or some conspiracy theory or conspiracy. It is things that we know that for the longest time, the US and the EU have been, the champions at the forefront of creating chaos in Africa, and in the hope that in the end they will be the ones who will be benefiting by looting behind the chaos, by appointing certain figures who are going to play by the tune, turning people against each other, ethnic, wars and ethnic cleansings, which is, very predominant in the 20th century in Africa. One dictator after another, military coups. We know it's an old game that they've been playing, but now they've turned into into the space of digital politics. They've tapped into the space of digital economics, in the space of digital warfare. Now we no longer relying on news being reported in newspapers or television and so on. Now it's more accessible to each and every person through smartphones and so on. So again, the Americans, knowing that the cobalt that is used to make their iPhones, their Apples and so on, their MacBooks and so on, is in DRC. So they want to ensure that they do not leave the DRC without squandering the economy, but all whilst continuously looting, the natural resources of the Congo. So with that being said, there's also the issue of dispossession in terms of people, in terms of their native spaces where they are accustomed to. Now they have to be moved forcefully through a perpetual war, because now suddenly the areas that they occupy, especially the ones that are near or within, the dense forest areas, those are untapped areas, with natural resources. So again, the Westerner comes in to create the chaos, but also comes in as the savior who resolves this perpetual conflict, and then claims that in order for you to obtain peace, you must abide by what we come with. So I'm offering you funding, for health alleviation, housing, and so on. But I think the exchange that I have mining rights and I have mining shares that are above the full control of the government of that
Yes.
particular country. So deforestation is also another issue whereby now forests are under siege. I think
Yes.
it goes into that image that we spoke about of the Maasai village and so on. Currently,
Yes.
because of global change or climate change, most of the areas in eastern Kenya, northeastern Kenya, are pastoral lands whereby people and farmers that reside in those areas depend on, livestock herding and so on. So now the greener areas that were greener in the 20th century are now becoming dry. But one can take it back as far as the kind of economy that was chosen or inherited by these countries, which are extractivist
In nature. Yes.
in nature. So I remember one of the cases that were very dominant in Kenya throughout the 1990s was the case between Professor Wangari Maathai, who was an environmentalist, academic who used to teach at the University of Nairobi. Now, she had conflicts with the then president, Daniel Arap Moi, who wanted to move people from a particular, forest
Yes.
near their villages, because he wanted to build these very modern, skyscraper buildings
Yes.
with more
Eurocentric in style.
Eurocentric is started very American. He even convinced the people that, look, if you move, we'll pay you so much, and in the end, your children will benefit, as it's usually said.
Yes.
But Prof. Mathai was of the opinion that it's not just about the admiration or reverence of the forest or greenery and the environment, but it's the fact that that is part of our lineage, that's part of our link to the earth, and that for the relativity between oxygen and carbon dioxide is much more cleaner in areas that are very dense in forestry. So at that time, Arab Moi was very, aggressive and tyrannical. Wangari Maathai would often be, apprehended by the police, beaten, tortured, and then ultimately released. She even formed her own, environmentalist watch groups within these very rural areas, in the hope that if you save nature, if you save the forests from being destroyed by the government, you will have longer lives. So such things, for instance, like preventative, herbs that are home remedies that delay, what is known as chronic illnesses, like your high blood pressure, your diabetes, and so on. She believed that it's not just the remedies that are made from leaves and shrubs and roots and tree barks, but she believed that the spirit of the forest itself is very healing. So she was of the opinion that we approach as Africans, healing through the narrow lens of medicines or medicinal intervention or mediation. But in actual fact, the framework of healing is incorrect in that way. But if you approach healing from just being, attentive to, things like meditation in the forest, the voices of the forest, the spirit of the forest itself, then you are able to prolong your life. So things like illnesses like cancer could be cured at that time, according to her, using this indigenous knowledge, using spiritual connections between place and human, but also with the intervention of spirituality. So when I saw that image,